You talked about a few different skill sets, and I want to focus on
Okay.
those. You talked about nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a specific example of a time where you nurtured someone. How'd you do it?
I had a young lady that came to work for our company. She was the first female application engineer for computer design and manufacturing. And after about 6-7 months of working with the salesman, supporting them on sales calls, she wanted to be a salesperson. Nobody wanted that person to work as a salesperson. So I said, okay, no one's calling on these accounts. I got some named accounts, Fortune 100 companies, and said, if you close one of these accounts before the end of the year, I'll give you a $600,000 quota, and if you do that, we'll make you a salesperson. She did $2.4 million with those people in 6 months' time. She was the third leading salesman of the company out of over 100 people. Because we'd sit down and talk in the evening. I'd talk to her. Her father would come in. When you're nurturing people, it's difficult because families come in, they want to know what you are, what you're going to, because someone goes home, they're always talking about you, whether it's a man or a woman. They're always going home and saying, well, Jerry nurtured me and he told me to do this today. And I told them, people, some of the things they had to do in sales skills. And my nurturing is, as a person, I'd go out and make calls with somebody and with her, and I'd sit in the car and say, how do you think this went? She'd tell me all the things that went. And I said, well, here's what I would do a little differently. But I never try to embarrass that person in front of somebody else by saying that. The only thing was if we went in a closing situation. If I walked in and someone said, we're going to close this deal, then I went to close the deal. And that's the entrepreneur in me. I'm going to get the money that's on the table. And that's the only time I would do that. Otherwise, I nurtured people along like that and watched them in their career. And people stay in their career like that. I have a young gentleman I nurtured. I went into a company, one of my first startup companies. He was in Detroit. And I came in over him, and he thought he should have my job. And we became very good friends. I nurtured him on a whole bunch of things. When he started his company, I was the first person he sent a letter to on his stationery. And his statement was, I taught him more about ethics by how I acted, not anything I ever said to him. He now races Mercedes Gullwing classic cars, and he's got partners running his business because what he did is he wrote me a letter and said, I treat my employees the way you try to treat me. He bought a condo up north in Michigan, and he gives it to his employee of the month, and they get to use it for the weekend for the whole month. And he hires all the people out of Michigan State University. So that's how you nurture people. You have to be there for them in good and bad times. You have to point out when they're wrong and when they're doing something very positive.